Thank you all for joining today. This is our book club event happening in April. We are the English-speaking book club organized by Women in Project Network, but every gender is welcome to join. And we are hosted by PMI Germany. We have monthly events and we discuss books related to professional development. We have a concept where we cover each type of PDU. So by the end of the year, those who are collecting PDUs can cover each type of PDUs. In the previous three sessions, including this session, focused on AI, ways of working. The next one will be emotional intelligence and confidence. So I encourage everyone to join to the book club, which we will share the link to. Join us and join to our event. So you can see what other skills we are improving together. We will always share what book we will read. So each of us can read together. And by the time the event comes, we can have discussion. My name is Emma Simon. I work as a technical project management manager in the Netherlands. And my peer, Richa, also joined us. Maybe Richa, you can introduce shortly yourself.
Thank you for this opportunity, Emma. I'm Richa and I'm an AI transportation leader. With this, I'm working in a PMI Standard Plus in SME department. And including this, I'm a project manager and a senior scrum master in my company. So, and with this, I'm a content writer where I write about mostly AI and a speaker on AI. And right now, I'm giving the content on the basically Gen AI, how you implement the Gen AI in your daily work or in your professional work. And let me clear you one thing in bold: AI never replace you. AI is just for to help you out in your work. Please keep in your mind, AI will not replace you. It's just help you to work out like a calculator. Like calculator help you to do the calculations. The AI is similar like that.
Thank you. Thanks for the introduction. So in short, I will start to share the slide set. I encourage the participant to prepare your phones. There will be 2 polls during our presentation when we start interactive discussion. And I also ask you if you have any thoughts to the slides, just enter to the chat and time to time we stop and read the comments, discuss the comments. So this is interactive and I would also like to ask you, put your contact link to the chat so we can also connect. So let's get started. This is our agenda today. We already finished the networking and we will have the book club presentation and discussion. Just a note, we are recording this session and we will put this session later on YouTube so people can rewatch. We will make sure that whenever you speak, we don't put it on YouTube. We will cut that, but the key contents will be that. So who we are, as shared, we are the English-speaking book club and we have monthly events. So you can find it in the PMI Germany calendar. And we also share it on our LinkedIn. So if you connect us or join to the Women in Project Management Network or to the English Book Club, and you can see here the links in the chat, you will always see the next events and we can read together. These sessions are open, inclusive, so feel free to share your thoughts verbally or in the chat. How the book club looks like. We have networking discussions all the time. Actually, these are something I already shared. Don't forget, if you are collecting PDUs, which means you are close to your PMP or you did your PMP and you need to renew, we always share PDU link after the event, which is 1.5 PDU. Plus, you also get PDUs for reading the book. So when you enter what book you read and enter how many hours you spent with reading the book, it calculates your PDU. So don't forget, it's all about learning, plus making sure that your PDU is collected. So let's get started with the first book. In short, we will spend 30 minutes with the first book, which is Nexus, and then 30 minutes with the artificial mind, where the author also joins us and he will share some insights. Please enter to the chat if you have read the book or you are planning to read the book. We think that in case you read it, still might be interesting and you can share some thoughts. And in case not, maybe this is inspiration, so you will read it. I would like to first introduce the author. Probably you have heard of him. So he is the Yuval Harari, who is a historian, philosopher, and best-selling author. He has 3 famous books, The Sapiens, The Homo Deus, and the 21 Lessons for the 21st Century. And he often focuses on how information, power, and technology shape society, making him a leading voice in conversations about the future of humanity. If you had read any books of him, I recommend, feel free to put it in the chat. I definitely recommend his writings because always some new thoughts that I have not thought of. So here is some summary or highlights from the book. It is a deep dive history of humans shared knowledge through the language, religion, and printing press. and eventually to the digital system, internet, and AI. It focuses on networks and power structures. So it deep dive from the view of AI to the level of society and how we communicated before, from oral myth to writing, printing, to internet, and to AI. And we need to remember AI doesn't understand us, it calculates and not feels. What is often highlighted, information connects, and it does not necessarily reflect the truth. So that is something we should not forget. The book reminds us, and we are aware, but AI don't only share information, but creates, and we need to think through if that is something that is reflecting the truth. Here, I would like to invite you to do the first poll, and let's just discuss the outcomes of the poll. There will be 3 questions coming about the book, a little bit of yourself, how much you think digital system influences you, and we can have some discussion about it. This is the outcome of the poll. The first question was about autonomy versus influence. How much do you feel your decisions are influenced by digital networks, recommendation system, GPS? So we see that most of you think that it's somewhat influenced, but you are aware of it. So what we see in the book is somewhat similar, often unconsciously influenced. So the networks we have created don't just reflect our choices, but they also shape them. So we need to be aware of this interconnection, what happened, but definitely how we give feedbacks to this system, it can also, again, shape us. In the grand scheme of communication networks, from language to the internet, what are we more of? I see that most of us think it's both. So we are also the creators and product of the system, and I completely agree with this one. And this is something also the book reflects. And let me get to the third one. Which statement resonates more with you? We build technology to serve us. Let me just get back to the full question. Shape our needs. So we build technology to serve our needs. Technology evolves to shape our needs, or it's a co-evolution. Both influence each other. I also see that we think similarly how the author shared. So this is a recurring theme in Nexus. The dynamic feedback loop between humans and their system. Technologies don't evolve in vacuum, so they respond to human needs, but those needs are also transformed by what the tech enables. So I see that we think similarly to the book, and some of us already read the book, so this is the outcome we expected. Anyone would like to share any views on this or thoughts? So here we will touch the key parts of the book and discuss them. So first of all, the origins of the human networks. So the human tribes use stories, myths, and shared beliefs to coordinate behavior and values. Information enabled trust, cooperation, and complex societies long before formal institution existed. And oral tradition requires proximity and repetition, keeping networks small and personal. But definitely our society improved. So it needs more help of the digitalization. The most powerful networks are not built of wires and code, but shared beliefs that live in human minds, and that is something we see AI is using, transforming, and supporting. So the thoughts that is a takeaway from the book, how do modern social media beliefs compare to Asians, oral, and myth? We see some similarity, definitely, all of us. For the modern social media, so feel free to share some thoughts, but what I see is that what we use social media for is definitely connecting faster, keep contact faster rather than improving our knowledge or know-how. So it's really supporting our original instincts. Let me go to the next section of the book, The Power of Writing and Empires. Writing transforms scattered tribes into structured civilization with consistent laws and governance. Bureaucracy, taxation, and organized religion thrive through written record, and networks would now span continents and generations. And in your work life, what kind of rules are passed on through writing alone? This is a thought that we can share also in the chat. I invite everyone to capture some idea. In the book, we also get some thoughts about how information was shared in the previous empires. What we faced with Often, the writing was used by the kings to share the information, the only source of truth. But later on, then information and power of information sharing is now more distributed. There is more source of truth, which is not only about objective information, but also about a direction, what we would like to influence with the information. So anytime your friend says, I just shared an objective information, an objective opinion, you need to think through what is the message for me, who benefits from this information, and we really need to be aware of this. Printing press and explosion of ideas. This is also something that we are all aware of. Printing enabled the mass distribution of knowledge, breaking the monopoly of elites, sparked revolutions in science, religion, and philosophy, and it became a force for change, challenging authority. That's similar to what I shared before. When everyone can read, the king's word is no longer final. That is something we just discussed. So this is something, again, the book describes and shares that we need to be aware and conscious what type of information we take. And any thought can plant a seed that can start even a revolution. So this connects more and more to the modern information system and AI and the awareness we all have. Digital age and the internet. So the digital age of the internet is created instant, global, decentralized communication. It also led to fragmentation, misinformation, and algorithmic echo chambers. The tech giants replace monarchs as gatekeepers of knowledge, and it cannot be more actual than now. What we all see happening in 2025. We no longer ask if something is true, we ask if it's trending. Do you trust the information you consume daily? Why or why not? You can share in the chat. Sometimes what I'm surprised about is that I ask, let's say, ChatGPT to summarize some content, and it summarizes. And when I check, do you have access to the, I don't know, the file I would like to summarize? And it says no. And I'm surprised that I get input without having access to something that I would like to have. So this is really something that needs to be double checked and verified before we are using the content generating from something which is not related to what I would like to understand.
That's true.
Okay, I have one more slide on this book. Let me get there. AI and the future of networks. So AI is described as alien intelligence. It connects without understanding. While it expands our capabilities, it also introduces unpredictable risks. So Harari calls for self-correcting system to keep AI aligned with human values. The danger is not that AI will rebel, but that it will obey too well. So should AI system follow our commands, even if we are wrong? That's a question for all of us, what we think of this. It's definitely narrowing our perspectives in case we all start to use only AI and AI systems, because it builds inputs from, or builds thoughts based on the inputs and questions we get. Yeah, similar. So what is one key takeaway that the last part of the book says, that we are all part of the network, we are all nodes, and we also need to be conscious how we feed back to the system. So the question to all of us is, are we just scrolling, or do we want to interact in a way that it forms to the future that we would like to have? That was all about this book, and time came that we can continue with the other book. Anything else anyone would like to add? Okay, we can go book. This book is available on Amazon, so you can download. Hope this will be inspiring for you. So let me start with his past and introduction. So he is a certified project management professional, business analyst, and process automation expert with over 50 years of experience across various domains. He is known from bridging the gap between technical innovation and real-world business solution, helping organizations streamline operations through tools like UiPath and Power Automate. And he is the author of The Artificial Mind. He critically examines the limitations of AI and language models, highlighting the importance of ethical and responsible AI development. And as you can see, he is also in our call today. Thank you for joining, Mr. Tandan. And if you are okay with it, I would like to start with some questions. So, first of all, what inspired you to write this book?
I was quite intrigued, as I discussed initially, that I had been through various kind of domains, which includes finance, consulting, all your marketing, everything, PNB. And then, I got in as PNB certified. And when I did that, I was intrigued by, how much people are today overestimating AI's intelligence, which we went through in the last book and we saw, various kind of comments which came in. And therefore, this particular book, I thought about this, so I didn't get much data, but it able to think a lot models and various things on, various aspects. So that we think on it, and this aims to cover, what is actually really going on behind the scenes of language models. This is what actually is.
What do you see? What are the biggest limitation of the current AI systems?
Well, as we discussed, even in the last Yuval, and various people, various audience of ours, they were very clear with this. Uh, the points which come in is that the AI models today they lack true comprehension. That's something which is there. It's more artificial. They can't reason deep, and they often fall outside the well-defined context. I explain it later, but just to tell you shortly, you know, the artificial intelligence, as you asked it, this question, it's saying that, if you give it a wrong command and then what happens? Just get the garbage in and the garbage out because they don't actually plan in mind. It's this way that they are not thinking, but they're going with the patterns, the data which they have been training. So whether it's ChatGPT, Gemini, or Grok, whatever, it depends on the data. So when you ask them a question, when you ask them anything, try to look into those patterns. That's how the psychology of the AI works. It doesn't find an answer, just tries to find the kind pattern and which is similar to the question which is asked and provides that. And sometimes the biggest limitation is it tries to make up answers. It's like if you ask a question, like you said, you didn't have the file. So how did you give you the output without knowing? So that's the reason.
Yes, we are seeing that. And what role do data biases play in the shortcomings of AI?
That's absolutely what I answered. That it's like the data biases are every. You feed in the wrong data, you send in the wrong data in ChatGPT or Google or whatever it is, and it gives you a wrong answer because it's all kind of looking into the patterns. It's looking into the. It's like a child trying to find out that stuff or trying to find out the dog within whatever range, and gives you providing that answer. So it doesn't try to apply its mind. You have to tell it. Look, I ask those questions. Okay, and then it tries to make it like a child. Child keeps on making stories. Every mother knows it. If the child is making up, the child is not true. So the data bias is really important. And it's like, you ask me in one word, it's garbage in, garbage out.
And we come to ethics. So many times we discuss ethics around AI. There are concerns raised. So what is your advice for somebody who is just entering to AI and ethics related to it?
Yeah, I would say one thing, for AI today, we don't need coders and engineers. I'm sorry to use this word. Maybe it's something which goes on YouTube, and yes, people are totally for this. But the fact is, what we need is people with psychology background, people with human behavior, people with philosophical background. They try to teach to the AI. That's an advice in terms of ethics. I would like to say that that's needed. It's like a child, you have to put in certain value, moral value, sacred for child. Similarly, you are, let's say, philosophers, people experts in human behavior, people experts in psychology. Getting them together, this puzzle, which is tech. Technology is just one part of the puzzle. Get everyone together, then you try that somebody make it work more ethically. That's advice.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And one last question to you. So what is the takeaway you hope that the readers will remember from your book?
Don't consider it as a magician. Don't look at it a magician having answer to all your questions. And it's like Aladdin's. It's not like that. It's good like it gives you I need to understand the flaws which are there. Obviously, you need to kind of use it more responsibly, more wisely. But it's definitely a very powerful tool. But it's not the end of the story. It's not the end game. Initially when we started using computers, Excel sheets, Microsoft, I still remember there used to be something called bugs. We working in financial modeling, investment banking. There used to be bugs. We used to really look at it. Where did that happen? And circular referencing of various things. So it doesn't mean the Excel is not developed. That's true for calculator, circular there. Uh, but one more important thing is that you need to look at it more wisely, use it as a tool, and not governing you. That's what advice is. I'm telling you. You take away from this, use it, the technology you use it as a tool. Use it wisely, whether it's presentations or whatever else. But don't, it's like a mathematics. Disarm it.
Thank you. We can go to the audience poll. So in case you have any question to the author, please put it in the chat. Otherwise, we made a short call for you. So here is some introduction about the book itself, which is also available on Amazon. So it focuses on modern AI's rise, pointing out that despite impressive capabilities, current systems are still narrow, breadth, and far from the true understanding. That's what he also highlighted during our conversation. So he explained how the language models work, pattern recognition versus true understanding, explains the key limitations and also ethical risks. I highlighted one key quote: the goal isn't to create machines that think like us, but tools that can help us to think better. So if you are interested in these topics, you can find some details in his books, and he will also walk us through the key takeaways from the book. So let us go to the key takeaways and quotes. And I let Mr. Tandan explain the key takeaways from the book.
That's right. Thank you so much, Emma. You can have those questions, and I'm also going to work. Just you can look at it later on. So I'm coming to the key takeaway, which is like the first rank, as you see the way it says AI transform. There's this iteration. Let's start with something interesting everywhere, which is how AI is transforming the businesses. And it is pushing the digital innovation to the next level. So it's not about automating the tasks anymore. AI is reshaping the entire workflows. It's improving upon how companies are making decisions. And even it's creating brand new opportunities that didn't exist a few years ago. So you can think about how customer service has changed. Chatbots. Were the chatbots some years back? So, but today, they handle thousands of requests instantly. And they are getting smarter by the day, whether it's happening in healthcare, logistics, finance. So AI is digging mountains of data every day, every second, every nanosecond. Surface insights, humans' fairness. It's not just improving speeds and efficiency, it's driving the real innovation. But the kicker is that this transformation is only as good as how thoughtfully AI is applied. This is where strategy, this is where ethics, this is where philosophy, this is where human touch comes in. If you want to make a simile, it's something very similar to electricity, which you had in the century. Silent, powerful, running behind the scenes, and just like electricity changed the way we live. And what the century ago, AI is today rewriting the DNA of modern businesses. If you take an example of Domino's Pizza, on the surface, what is it? It's a pizza company. Anybody understands pizza. But if you dig a bit deeper, you'll find it's basically a tech company selling pizzas. They use AI to detect ordering patterns, optimize delivery routes. Even there are voice assistants that take orders. So that kind of a digital innovation isn't just cool, it's critical of digital as well. So AI is giving companies cheaper powers, but only if we use it with strategy, right? Not just like okay. The second point that I'm coming to is understanding AI's limitations is the key. And the potential, true potential, and this one is very important and it can't be over. Whereby what it says is that the truth is these systems don't actually understand anything the way humans do. They mimic languages, mimic patterns, as I told you last time, that they are sent with patterns and try to mimic it. So if we ignore their limitations, just like any solutions, biases in data or context, we risk misusing them. The more honest, the more open we are about these gaps, the better we can design a system. It's not just downplaying the AI, you ask, but it's how we can utilize our limitation. So for example, we know how GPS, it can get us almost anywhere. But sometimes what happens, we have heard people, they are landing up, they went through a GPS, they went to Google, and they landed up in certain fields and areas. And it was written that you've arrived. The first guy finds that he's in the hub. The lady finds that she's putting up a good field. Whereas that's another problem which AI has. As pointed out by Yuval, that today most of the people are dependent upon AI for drafting emails, generating reports, writing codes. But what happens when you blindly trust it? You might send out a document, think confident sounding nonsense. And that's where the real potential of AI isn't just in the super understanding instance. Okay, third thing which is we are coming to is bridging tech and reality, which is the gap. A question which came in Yuval's proposal solve of theory and practice. There's often a pretty big disconnect which happens between tech itself and how it's used in the real world. On paper, the models reading benchmarks, reading fluent texts, they recognize images like a ball, and they get deployed. What happens? Or deploying, what happens? And those particular, that's when, the reason is maybe the model didn't understand the industry jargon. Maybe the data it's trained on doesn't match the real world environment. It's here. Maybe it's not flexible enough to handle the nuances which are there. So it's important in the technical terms to view together with the business experts. Now, a great example is voice assistants, customer services. In demos, they sound empathetic. But in real life, I'm sure many of us have screamed and said, it's frustrating. Please, can I get a representative? I need a human to talk. Because AI was never true on the real world messiness, customers, children access, sarcasm, forums, language. So bridging that gap, which is again, I will mention last time that we need philosophers who are psychologists who understand, make it more human in terms of design, or the people who actually coming to the next point, real world application teaches how industries are using AI today. Every industry is trying to find its own rules. If you ask me, every industry is trying to find its own rules. In healthcare, you've got AI helping doctors diagnose diseases earlier and more accurately. In finance, it's helping to catch fraud in real time. In retail, it's behind the scenes, working all the time, personalized recommendations, forecasting, banking needs, everything which is going on. So even creative industries now today are jumping us. You know what? Or they're creating generating music, they're designing ads. It's all violent. So it's something which can I won't describe that all industries because each industry has its unique way of making an AI tool work. But the smart thing is that there has to be a combination, a smart combo, people and machines. So industries are kind of thinking sports machines. All of them use same tool, but in ways they match their games. Healthcare is the second set for doctors, of eyes for doctors. Can be used to scan images, cancers, early stages, and signs of radiology and various things, which I've already mentioned. And in agriculture, so in various industries, it's not just automation, it's more of augmentation. That's the word I've used in my doubt. So that it's not replacing humans, it's giving us more bandwidth, more focus to do certain things which machines. Now coming to the point, which is challenges, or you can say how language or which can work more safer, smarter. So okay, it still faces some challenges. We know that. More, understood by now. There are a lot of challenges. What are the big ones? Context. So we have models which can be incredibly smart within a narrow. But the second you push outside of that window, it becomes a problem. So there is a tons of research which is happening across that. So right now, AI is, if you ask me, it's really like smart in turn. It's fast, confident, but sometimes shocks the builders. So I would just give end of the small story, which is of an attorney who used ChatGPT to write a legal brief, submitted it to the court. Then what it turned out, the bottom made up legal cases. This is what I was. All the legal cases which were there were entirely fictional and sounded real, but they were 100% fake. So that's what hallucination. And lastly, the shortcomings. I'm coming to it. Am I audible? Am I audible? Emma?
Yes, just a short point. So we have 3 minutes left from the event. Do you prefer to finish or join to the
Fine,
or
fine,
feedback to the call?
This is another point which I have. Can I just finish it in less than 30 seconds? So, in terms of shortcomings, I would say if AI is for a person, it's like a genius toddler. It's full of potential, incredibly a fast learner, but still prone to tantrums in bad cases. So, for example, facial recognition technology, is struggled with accuracy across to it. And it's not technical bug, it's a societal issue. So, whether briefly, it's like building a spaceship. You don't focus on how fast to make sure it won't crash and then cancel. Thank you so much. And these are the 6 pointers, the key takeaways.
Thank you. Exactly. Let me just share it. So we got it also in the chat from Rita. I'm opening it and we can have a look at the results. So you should be able to see it now. Maybe if you can select one coin. I see, imagine an AI algorithm is making the final decision between you and a colleague for promotion. How do you feel about your chances? And it says, skeptical, I trust algorithms, but not that much. So
That's
most of the
the point.
people.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say, Emma, that, we still are skeptical and suspicious of AI. That's exactly what I'm getting my point.
That is something you also share in your book. Let's see, your company introduces an AI productivity booster. It's supposed to save time, but it insists on sending cryptic motivational quotes at random moments. How do you feel? And what I see, most of the people are amused. At least it's giving me something to talk about. And then the second one is annoyed. Productivity isn't about motivational fluff.
Absolutely. That's the point, Emma, that you cannot trust. That's coming out again and again of the audience also. Trust. Yeah. That's again.
Exactly. And we can go to the next one, then we stay 2 more minutes so that we can share our QR codes for the next event. So let's close it with one point. AI is now crafting entire creative campaign. Do you think it's capable of truly understanding the soul of the message, or does it just imitate? I see most of the people replied AI can replicate creativity, but it lacks the human's part. And the second one is it feels like it's copying from the same playbook every time.
Same thing, Emma, you can see the audience, see different questions, different context. The answer you ask me is the same, that yes, AI is genius, AI is great, but we can't trust it. That mistrust.
That's what is sensible from the response also from the joiners. So first of all, you can learn more and build skills at pmi.org. So if you are interested in learning about AI, you can find these courses on the website. So you can search for that on the PMI website. Other than that, a short introduction of us, Women in Project Network. So we are a group available on LinkedIn. We do online event. We also own a book club, which is gender neutral. We have YouTube channel, so any of our events can be watched on YouTube, and we will share this link again on the book club and also in the Women in Project Network. And here you can see a QR code for the May event. That is the next book club, which will cover the crucial conversations. So now we will move from AI to confidence and communications. That is for the next 3 events. And you can find more information on the PMI Germany website, on our LinkedIn for Women in Projects Network, and also in the closed book club. And in the closed book club, I encourage everyone to share ideas, to connect, because it's really close for the reason to enable conversations. So I use the QR code and we will definitely send you. And the last point is we will share the QR code after the event for the PDU code. And here you can also join to the book club, but you also found it in our events chat. Thank you so much for joining, Mr. Tandan. So thank you so much and have a nice day and weekend.